everybody. Brian Curran, the fishing musician, back for another guitar lesson. Happy New Year. It's a little late to be saying that. It's been a while. I think my last lesson was the Silent Night for slide guitar. That ship has sailed, man. Holidays are long gone. We're almost to the Super Bowl, for God's sakes. So please pardon my delay. Yeah, glad to be with you. I think you guys are going to really get a lot of good information from this lesson. We're not doing a tune today. That was kind of close to some versions of Key to the Highway. We're going to do some technique stuff. I know the title's a little cheesy, but really these are essential chord changes, chord forms to learn to play country blues guitar and more. I mean, this is in Chet Atkins music. This is in Joe Pass. I mean, these things are everywhere. We're just going to do some basic shapes, nothing fancy. One of my goals on this channel is to give you information so you don't have to reference YouTube channels like mine to learn songs. And I love it that I'm getting so much good feedback, and even got some students from this channel, and you all know who you are. Thank you so much. But I want to give you information so you don't have to find a video or tab online or a book to learn your favorite songs. You can do it by ear. And what the beauty of that is sometimes, myself included, we don't learn it exactly the way it is on the recording. But we figure out a way of making that sound, and we learn something new. We might not be doing it like the original artist did, but we ourselves learn something new, and that's developing your own style and developing your knowledge of the instrument. And that's the beauty of playing. That's what we're all here for. So without further ado, quit your jawing here and tell us what the heck we're going to learn. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a blues in the E, 12-bar blues. Nothing fancy. If you're not familiar with those terms, don't worry about it. There's plenty of lessons. Here I am talking about don't go to lessons online. There's plenty of lessons to learn about the 12-bar blues. We're not going to go that far into it. I'm assuming a lot of you already know what a 12-bar blues is and have an idea of key. But we're going to be doing an E chord, an A chord, and a B chord up and down the neck in variations. We'll also be doing some seventh, even a little bit of minor stuff. So without further ado, first chord in a 12-bar blues in the key of E is E. Instead of doing this or this, play E7 there, or E7 here, or E9, you might be doing some of that. We're going to use this guy, a D shape. If you're familiar with moving these small triads around the neck, this might not be the lesson for you. You might already know this information. Stay tuned and to make sure, because if you don't, this is great information to know. But if you've never really moved some of these small shapes you saw me playing in the beginning around the neck, this is your lesson. So we're going to do an E chord like this. All we're doing is taking a basic D and moving it up the neck to the 4th and 5th fret. We can no longer strum, but we can play those 3 strings. And you'll see I'm using finger picks here. I'm only doing that really because I got a blister on my middle finger. So, but my root note is on the 2nd string. There's my E. And just like from D to D7, we can do the same thing. E to E7. Super easy, right? The root disappears, but I'm still focusing on that as the root. So we can move those now around to our 3 chords in the key of E. For a blues would be E, A, and B, or E7, A7, and B7. We just take E, F, G, A. Now we're up here on 9 and 10 for the A, 8 and 9 for the A7. If I were to stay there and do this, Robert Johnson intro, right? But you have to learn that on your own. That's all I'm going to give you. He's usually in the key of B anyway. So A7, right? We can go up to B and B7. So 2 shapes, we can get all 3 chords up the neck. So those are movable in different keys. So if we were in the key of G, you could do it on G, C, and D, right? Super easy. Nothing fancy going on there. Key of E is nice because you can do some thumb work like I was doing in the beginning, but we're not going to worry about that. We just want to learn how to use these shapes. So there's your 3 chords of the 12 bar progression up the neck. One more shape we're going to add is based off your A7 here. Might be familiar with that. I base it off of this triad. That's what I'm thinking of how I'm getting this chord. Right? And that's, I'm using the term triad loosely because it's no longer a triad because I'm playing 4 strings, 4 notes, but I'm thinking of it from this chord if I were to move it around. Just your bar A shape, right? Root is on the 3rd string. If you move it, there's your B, C. Obviously, if you play it up here, you can hit the 5th string, so you consider that the root. But once you move it, you can't do that anymore. So you're looking at that 3rd string. So we have A7, B7, and E7. So there's our 3 chords again, right? We're going to do something with this guy, and we're going to extend it to a straight major. Oops, hit the string. I'm going to add a high root to it. So now I have E, or A, B, and E. So now we can combine those, the major, straight major, and the 7th. Right? Pretty easy moves, or you can even put one in the middle. Major 7 really is what it would be, but beautiful line. You hear it all the time, right? Easy stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put that now into a 12 bar blues. Well, let me review that real quick. E, E7, like D shapes, A, A7, B, B7. So we're on 4 and 5, 3 and 4, 9 and 10, 8 and 9. Those are frets. 10 and 12, right? Or 11 and 12, and then 10, 11. All right. Same 3 chords. We're going to go back. We're going to start with E, E7, A, A7, and B, B7. All movable around the neck. And again, key of E is good because we have some bass strings. The key of A is good too. Gives you all 3 bass strings, A, D, and E. But again, we're going to leave bass off. So I'm going to put that into a slow 12 bar blues. 4 bars of E, 2 bars of A, 2 bars of E, then 1 bar of B, A, E, and B. Add up 4 beats per bar. There's your 12 bars. That's all a 12 bar blues means. Easy stuff. We're going to do it in a triplet form, so kind of 3 strokes per beat. I'm going up, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. You can go down if you want. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. Whatever you want. You can use your thumb, you can use your finger, you can use a flat pick. It's all up to you. We're just trying to get used to moving these chords around. Here we go. It would maybe be good to just watch and then try to play along. After you kind of see where I'm going. Here we go. Starting on E. 1, 2, 3, 4. E7. E7 up the neck. A. A7. Back to E. E7. E7. A7. E. B7. 12 bar blues form Now, you wouldn't really do that for an entire song. It gets very redundant with just dun, 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 dun. But it's a good way to practice it, and you can kind of let things develop, you know. So, basic chord shapes you're probably already familiar with, and you may not have thought of moving them all over the neck. We're going to do two more things based off of those, well, some of it based off of the triad. Also, we're going to add one more triad that we're going to use. And that's this guy. That's another E chord. It's based off the top half of the A. So the top 3 strings. So we're going like basically like this. This is compensating for that open string. So here's your root on the 3rd string. Right? But we're not going to use that string. We're just going to drop our finger down and we're going to play this 1st and 2nd string. And we're going to connect that to our D triad. Here's E, E. But we're just doing the top 2 strings. And we're going to put that together by moving this form chromatically in either direction till we land on the next E chord. So I could start at this E and go up, or start on this E and go down. You've heard Brunsey do it a lot. He uses that. Uses a lot. Mance Lipscomb uses it a lot too. Or just kind of, what's the, oh, told me, baby, you got to reap. I think the reap what you sow starts like that. Something like that. But there's that, you know, there's that little, and it's based off of C triad, right? But you could figure that out on your own now that you know that little form. And it runs, we're on E. It's a great little country western steel guitar riff too. So one more thing off that form, and that's flatting the 3rd to get kind of a minor. That's kind of more based off of a minor triad like this, but I still think of it as just flatting the 3rd, you know. But don't worry about that. Just learn the form. So if I'm basing it off of this E, there's my root, flatting the 2nd string, and just playing those 2 strings, I get this E riff. It's kind of a minor thing, but it can be used major as well if you're playing the blues. You've heard this. As like an intro, you've heard it a bunch. So I can move that now. I can move this form from E to A, even to B if I got more room. Or this form. E, A, B. Or A. Whoops. B. You know, straight through. Gets a little high up the neck there. And you can utilize those anywhere you want, in any key. You'll hear them all the time. Again, that Robert Johnson intro. He does the one for, what is it? Found to the station. Is that? It's right there. You've heard all this stuff. Now you got the information. You can go figure out the songs for yourself. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through that 12 bar again. I'm just going to improvise with some of these chord forms and see what happens. Might sound bad. I don't know. And I might stumble. Hopefully I don't, so you can pause it or you can watch it and then rewind it and play along. So, but let's try and put some of it to use. And then you can take this and go have some fun. Right? Here we go. Starting on E. 2, 3. We'll start on this D. 2, 3, 4. Just improvising around with those chord forms. Have some fun with them. Learn them. Learn the names and how you move them around, right? So E, roots on the second string. Still picturing that second string even though it's gone when you play the seventh. Play this little A7 form, roots on the third string. You're playing this little guy, roots on the third string above it, even though it's omitted. Try it in the key of G. Don't use a capo. Now, a lot of times I would say use a capo and keep those open strings if you wanted to do it in F or G or even A. But don't use a capo right away because you have a tendency to associate the open chord form with chords you're playing. So if you were to capo, right, you might say, even though, what an idiot. Anyways, too much coffee. You might still say E instead of G, right? You might still be thinking that because that's the position you're playing from. You don't want to do that. So if you wanted to move these around to the key of G, don't capo them, right? Just... so on and so forth. Well, I hope that gives you some info to look at, guys. Yeah, just move it around, have some fun, enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you all next time.